So we are 3 of the 7 trust architects, and we were blending the topics of trust and inclusivity, and which is really kind of fun because halfway through we realized we have 2 of the most interesting places on earth represented here, Singapore and the United Arab Emirates, in Louis and Abdullah. Yeah, so if you want to talk governance and you want to get interesting, you go to these places, right? So we're going to start in, and these are the names of the people on the team, and I'm just going to dig right into the preamble, and we'll walk through the things we got. So we, the caretakers, will nurture our commons and use them wisely. In a world that is inherently unpredictable, what is certain is that we are interdependent. Therefore, we shall trust one another by default and build a world where true inclusiveness and abundance are possible. So we talked a lot about commons, right? Commons have basically been turned into natural resources that companies plunder. We've forgotten the commons. We used to stay alive by minding the commons. Now we mine the commons. So that was really important to us, was minding the commons. We talked about the unpredictability of the world, how you just can't, cause doesn't always lead to effect, which was said very nicely by the group before us, and this importance of interdependence. But the key here is to start building systems starting from trust, and you'll see this as we play out through the rest of the presentation.
All right, diving a bit deeper, right? So right now we talk about the values in our new world. So one is about trust by default. So what we mean by that is that, so as mentioned by the previous group also, we need to have this understanding that by and large, all of us are nice people. So without people watching over us, right, we will not break into riots, we will not murder each other. So another thing is about being inclusive. What this means, right, is that we want everybody to work together to plant the seeds and also to nurture the plant. What we mean by that is to work together to come up with solutions. At the same time, it's also for everybody to share the fruits of our labor. Next one, right, moving on to the next slide. We also talk about cosmology. So what does it mean in our new world? So we are an ecosystem of superorganisms. So what this means is that even at a cellular level, right, so we have a bunch of cells in our body that forms the organs, and the organs form human beings, and then human beings form families, society, and altogether, finally, the world. And then moving on, right, we talk about the, oh, sorry.
Stay on the previous.
Yes. So in the second part about the world being probabilistic and not deterministic. So this is in relation to living in a complex world. So what I mean by that is that you can't really plan everything at all. I do not expect everything to work out the way you want it to be. And finally, about abundance is always possible. So we talk about scarcity only happens where there is mistrust or lack of trust with each other. And so we actually come up with this new, very good equation where scarcity equals to abundance minus trust. So move on to the next one.
Actually, it's my turn for 2, I think.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Thank you. There we go. So we talked a whole bunch about the generation of abundance and the creation of artificial scarcities. So we think, going over to, thank you, human nature, that humans are essentially, not always, there's bad actors, but they're essentially good and trustworthy, and that we will reflect back the expectations that others have for us. And this, like, game theorists have ended up with tit for tat, where the opening gambit of actually good behavior turns out to be the best practice in game theory. But also in times of scarcity and danger, we'll kind of fall back on things, and whoever acts first tends to tip the whole crowd toward either good behavior or bad behavior. So it's really important for us, for governance mechanisms, to fold in some acknowledgement of how these things work. Thank you. And so our political subjects here were the caretakers, and here you can interpret caretakers very, very broadly, because in a really good society, we are all caretakers. And this notion of free riders winds up getting kind of fuzzy, because they're really also beneficiaries, right? Somebody who's really taking advantage, a true bad actor, is different. But we were talking about caretakers of various commons, and the best caretakers are the ones who are closest to the commons. Those are the people who should develop the rules to govern those commons, and that there are these other stakeholders like beneficiaries and free riders out there.
Thank you, Jerry. Thank you, Louis. I'll take you through the last 2 slides of the presentation. I'll speak about territory. And just before mentioning today, we heard you guys, my colleagues today, talking about the next governance is going to be more fluid than siloed. So therefore, our territory is more of grasping back what Louis have said into superorganism as well as multi-territory. We're looking to be the territory of all supply chain. to say that first. And then we look at multiple territories simultaneously, such as virtual and real-world territories as well. So these are two imaginative territories that we want to encompass here. All right, this is our dashboard. All right, so there's some imaginative things in it as well. So we're looking first at the global litigiousness.
There you are.
All right, it talks about more of how many lawsuits are being held. We're measuring trustworthy and trust between the governance. So we'll talk about the second one, which is linguistic accessibility of laws, and more, that means more clarity, I think. And number,
Not verbal accessibility.
no. All right. The third one here, we're talking about number of crimes per unit of law enforcement. And the fourth one, which is pretty much linked to it as well, talks about the amounts of law enforcement and military funding. The fifth one here is more about quality and frequency of social engagement. And as well, encompassing about gross domestic product and GDP and so forth. We're looking at the gross domestic commons as a new measurement of our trustworthy nation. We're looking at ease of movement, one, and global trust index. We're going to support these guys. And last but not least is life expectancy. We see life expectancy is very important. It looks at the happiness of people. The more people who are living for longer years, I mean, their health is good, doing well, less pollution up there, and therefore they're happy and surviving. So that's it.
Thank you very much.